Hey guys,
Hi.
welcome to Pod.
Hey now.
I just ate. I feel obese.
What did you eat?
Why do you
Bread?
feel obese?
Did you have some bread today?
No, just a ton of chicken and rice. But then I had these like cookies I've been eating with milk, and I eat it like
What
cereal.
are the cookies?
They're like kind of healthy cookies, but they're from this place, Juice Press, and like they're like chocolate.
Juice Press. Yeah, I know this place. I didn't know they had cookies.
I'm just. We got.
Why don't you just why go the healthy cookie? Just go the full blown thing if you're gonna have a cookie. Am I wrong here?
Nope.
Thank you, yeah, Jamie. Because to me, I think it tastes equally as good, and I'm not dealing with like refined sugar and stuff like that. Like basically,
what does dealing with refined sugar mean? Like, what happens to you when you have refined sugar?
Like, I wake up in the morning, I feel like shit. I don't sleep as good. I notice when I'm in the gym, I don't have the same energy. I'm kind of sluggish. All I'm thinking about is my cravings for food and what I want. And
it does
sounds like my life.
And eating healthy food tastes like shit when I'm eating sugar.
It's true.
Like it tastes, it's like I have no, like you could put grilled, like if I don't have sugar for a month and you put like grilled chicken with rice and something else in front of me, I'm like, this is exciting. But like if I have cookies tonight and tomorrow you put grilled chicken in front of me, I'm like, this tastes like nothing. Because it affects your taste buds, I think.
It absolutely does. I remember when I wasn't doing sugar, when I did do it, I would get hangovers. Like my body would, on my workout the next day, I would feel like I wasn't performing. And you know me, I'm a machine in the gym. I'm just on autopilot. My body doesn't.
Have you been working out again?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You don't look
he's
it.
done.
What'd you say?
Oh my God.
What'd you say?
Nothing.
Jamie, he can rewind this is recorded, Jamie. He can go back and look. Just tell him what you said, Jamie.
Nothing.
Jamie, you're lucky I love you so much. And I know I'm just so happy you choose to be funny over caring about my feelings. Do you know what I mean? The fact that you went for the joke.
It's not you and I sitting talking in your kitchen. We have people listening to this. They don't just they need to be entertained.
Free
and they write,
feel
they
free to step on
Instagram
me.
Jamie. Hey,
they love me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Stop being so nice to Cassim. Who is this guy?
Right. Who is he? What is he? He's not white. He's not on the Sopranos. Why is he here?
Jamie's not white.
Look at her. She's white.
I mean, I could say the same about you. You're white passing. You're so nerdy that you're kind of white.
I'm the reason we're international, baby. I'm white passing. Yeah? I'm white passing.
Yeah. You did hella. There's this thing where like you can submit to Apple to be like, hey, have us featured on like iTunes or whatever. And I remember in the beginning it was like, oh, we should apply for this, and we applied for it, and it asked like 4 questions, and then the last question is like, Are you like, do you guys have mixed culture on your show? And we were like, oh, are you kidding? We have a young man.
Didn't get accepted?
We didn't get accepted at all. We're like, we have a young Jordanian. We were like, we probably have the only Jordanian in podcasting at the time. /
refugee.
Egyptian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
/ Egyptian. And then, and listen to him tell his story. And they said, we don't really care.
They said that, huh?
That's what they said. Yeah. Steve Jobs was still alive at the time. He wrote himself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I thought he was dead, and then he was resurrected just to deny our application, but he was dead?
No. Well, like someone else who was born in Jordan, right?
Well, I mean, near Jordan. He was baptized in the Jordan River.
Who? Steve Jobs?
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, Jim.
Jesus Christ. And then we wrote him back and said, hey, Steve, what about this Cuban female? Yeah, I said, what about this Cuban
also disability community?
I mean, they don't give a fuck about us. What do you got to do? I
forget you have a disability. Every week I come on this pod and I forget.
See, to me, I do other podcasts, and when I come on this one,
walk around on this podcast.
I do other pods, but when it's time to do Pajama Pants, I get the text. I go, oh, we're doing the disability pod.
Oh, okay, good. Make sure she can get to the pod.
You forget. Yeah.
You guys need to stop.
So you forget. For me, it's
it's always on your mind. Yeah. So Steve Jobs denied a culturally mixed, disabled friendly pod, huh?
Yeah, and I think he caught wind that like I'm a white guy who's like never really worked a day in his life, and
starring 2 celebrities
from a show that hasn't been on the air in 15 years.
Yeah.
He fucked up. That Steve. He fucked up.
So I have something to show you guys.
Maybe after the Super Bowl commercial, they'll pick it up now.
Ooh, yeah. They don't like the mixed race disabled card. Maybe we had to be like, flashy and show them, hey, look, we still got it,
I think that's actually what we needed.
So I'm sending you guys a photo right now to the Disabled Pod group chat. And so I was brushing my teeth and I went to spit in the sink.
Ew!
Gabby, put it up. There was a full water bug, extremely alive.
That's a cockroach.
Yeah, in New York we call them water bugs.
Is one of its legs like behind it?
You call them water bugs? Why? To cope better?
Did it lose an arm?
Well, yeah, he did after your boy had to take care of business.
How did you do it? That's fucking gross.
Something I realize is that I'm not as scared of bugs as I am when I'm alone and I think I'm alone. I'm a certain way. Like there's a certain relax.
Of course.
And then when you think you're alone and all of a sudden you're reminded you're not, like I've seen a mouse before, or I've seen it where like if I see a mouse on the street or if I see a mouse somewhere, like even
it's not in your space.
Right. But even if I'm dating somebody and there's like a water bug in the room or whatever, I didn't feel like I was alone.
Totally get it.
And now there was this thing and it like switches my brain. Yep. It's like, so I went from like thinking I was alone at 1 a.m. and I was brushing my teeth. So I'm very strange. I wet the toothbrush in the kitchen sink and then I put the toothpaste on and then I cast some lives for this shit.
This is so my shit. Say it. Just say it slower. Stop asking why. Okay. Let him go through it, and we can pick it apart right after.
It's not as exciting as it sounds. It's because of like where my toothbrush is. Like I'm staying in somebody's place, and like the toothbrush where you normally put your toothbrush is taken. You know what I mean? Like all those spaces. And I'm like, I don't want to have to move their stuff in this. So my toothbrush is closer to the kitchen sink. But I'm not going to sit there and brush my teeth in the kitchen sink and like spit and blah, blah, blah. So I take my toothbrush, I wet it there in the kitchen sink. Mm-hmm. I start brushing, and then I walk into the bathroom to spit. And when I go to spit, when I I know sometimes I tell a story and I'm like, it was an inch away and it was really a foot or whatever. I look down and I spit on the fucking water bug. Like I thought he was going to fly up. Do you caught a burp there? Gabby, edit that out.
No, don't edit it. This is one of the most disgusting 25 seconds of pod we've ever had.
Gabby, edit it out.
And then I spit on a cockroach. Fucking A, dude.
Damn it. I spit, and literally, like, when I was killing him, he had, like, white speckles on his wings from, like, toothpaste. It was so gross.
What do you mean killing him? What else did you do?
So what happened was he was in the sink. I see him. Now I have a toothbrush in one fucking hand. I reached down and I grabbed a mat that you stand on after you shower. And I just shoved it in the sink, like squishing him. Because it was fat. Like I was like, my idea was I just spit on him. I don't want him to fly. So whatever the first thing I saw was, I was like, I got to get this guy. I didn't have time to be like, what should I use or this? It was like, I just grabbed that. It was on the floor. I grabbed it and I like shoved it into the sink and I'm like hitting it, whatever. And I'm like, okay, good, he's dead. Like now I'm like, I got to go in the kitchen and finish brushing my fucking teeth. So I finished brushing my teeth. I go back in there and I go to like remove the bug. And when I lift the fucking mat, he's still alive. Like ready to go. So I grabbed the baby wipes.
Oh, so good.
Bang, which baby wipes are the greatest. Look at this. They're just always
the container, the box that they're in.
Yeah, and I squish the
That's
bug.
hard plastic.
No, it's like the refillable, the refills.
Oh.
You know? So I you hear the full crunch of the bug and his legs behind him. There was a battle ensued after seeing this water bug, and I took him down.
Sorry.
That's also crazy. I've just never heard of a cockroach being called a water bug.
I have.
It's a very East Coast thing, I think.
They just don't want to call them roaches.
But why is that why? But why a water bug? Because I've never.
They come out of the drains.
Okay, because I don't see them in water, but because they come out of where water goes, that's why we call them water bugs.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a very specific bug. That's a water bug. It's cockroaches. No, but if you see a regular cockroach, it's not a water bug. Like those big ones with the wings that fly, those are.
Haven't we had this conversation? Don't all cockroaches have wings?
Yes, but they don't all fly.
That's what we found out.
And baby cockroaches do not have wings.
They've got to grow the wings?
They grow the wings.
Shit, man. Just when you think there's no actual information in this podcast. Boom.
I agree. I was just going to say, I bet people didn't expect to get these lessons here.
That's very true, Jamie.
Wow.
What a time we're living in. You can tune into Three Pals, learn that cockroaches are called water bugs, about their wings, babies, see Rob burp. Today's podcast is sponsored by the nice and kind folks at ZocDoc. I don't know if you guys are like me, but it takes a lot of effort to make an appointment at the doctor because, quite frankly, I never know where to start. I have to call a friend or my brother and be like, do you have a doctor you like? And then he has to find the information. And then I have to see if he can send it over. And then I have to call and see if it's within network and all this. Take the guesswork out of finding a doctor. ZocDoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. On ZocDoc, you can find every specialist under the sun, whether you're trying to straighten those teeth, fix an achy back, get the mole on your back checked out, or anything else. ZocDoc has you covered. It's a mobile app. It's easy as ordering a ride to a restaurant or getting delivered to your house. Search, find, and book doctors within a few taps.
That's right. Go to ZocDoc.com/pajama and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/pajama, ZocDoc.com/pajama.
And I could picture, I could skip a week forward right now to us doing the pod next week. And it's in the last, Kasim's I got an email here. It's in the last pod, you mentioned water bugs. And
well, I do have some emails. We lost a Muslim listener because I think last pod I was talking about, was I talking about Mecca? We were talking about praying.
Yeah.
They unfollowed us.
We've lost Muslim listeners before. This isn't the first time.
Yeah. Look, I'm sorry. I keep losing you guys.
Were you being disrespectful about it?
Was I disrespectful?
It sounded like a terrible thing.
He's certainly never respectful about it.
Well,
but I don't know if you're disrespectful.
All I did was explain my experience as a child in Mecca, and it seemed like a complete waste of my fucking time. But if that's disrespectful to you, then I'm very sorry.
No, but you did make it sound like it was torturous.
Well, I do know people have died there. Maybe they have new policies in place where there are less people dying, or maybe even no people dying on their pilgrimages every year.
I think it's beautiful that something could bring a bunch of people together in in a similar intention for, and I like practice, and I what's the word I'm looking for?
He's not listening, Jamie. You're trying to bring this guy back. He's not listening.
You talking about Mutaz?
Is that our listener we lost, Mutaz?
Yeah, Mutaz.
What did he say?
The point is,
do you want me to read it?
Mutaz.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read it? Okay. Long story. Hello. long story short, what you said in your last pod, and it's just completely misspelled everywhere. Like it's hard to take this seriously, but I will.
Oh, we lost a good one.
Long story short, I'm gonna try and say it in the way he typed it.
This is good.
Long story short, what you said in your last podcast about Islam and Mecca is wrong. Kindly ask someone who's really practicing Islam to answer your questions properly, other than making fun of a well-educated community that lives on this earth with you. Your comments were so insulting and reflect how judgmental and ignorant people can be and yet still feel superior. I'm really sad that I had to hear these comments on your podcast. I used to be a huge fan. Unfollowing you and looking for a beneficial podcast is what many will do. Regards, Mutaz. At least we got our regards. Mutaz, I am so sorry.
I understand how he could feel that way, though.
Totally. I think that was a white man.
You think Mutaz? Yeah, it definitely sounds like a white guy, huh?
I think he was trying to pretend. Yeah,
I totally get his point. I do. I'm sorry if he felt that way.
We'll respond to Mutaz.
I mean,
why don't you issue a formal apology on behalf of Pajama Pants, and Mutaz, then we can send this to Mutaz, because I still have his email.
On behalf of you guys, it is not all Pajama Pants.
This includes Rob. Yeah. Speak for Rob and speak for me.
This does not include me. When you apologize, that's when they come for you.
Mutaz,
this includes Rob and me. Go ahead.
Mutaz, you have every right to feel how you feel. I am so sorry for contributing to how you feel. And if you felt disrespected of something that you regard holy and important to you, that's never for anyone to say that it's not. With all of that said, this podcast is a place to be silly. We poke fun at ourselves. We poke fun at serious issues to make light of them. It's how the three of us have dealt with a lot of trauma in our lives. So for us to be able to kind of talk about this and Kasim to tell us about this and his own experience in a silly way is how we go through life. That's what this podcast is. And again, I'm so sorry that it touched on something that's really important to you and that was disrespectful. But at the same time, I would hope that people that listen to this podcast know that a lot of the things we say we're joking, but we have, where our hearts are, where our intentions lie, and how we feel about really important issues in this world. Not to say that we get it right all the time, and I think we own up to it if we don't, or argue our side, but that's all I have to say about that.
In your face, Mutaz.
Rob you're a special guy, dude. You're a special guy.
Jamie just dunked on Mutaz. I
can't believe you dunked on Mutaz.
I did not.
Well, here's the thing. Listen, we have many people who listen every week, and we don't address them. But we're talking to someone who's not even listening anymore. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Good. So long, Mutaz. Assalamu alaikum. I'll see you again in the afterlife. I think you have to understand. I was 4 years old. I could have got some of these facts wrong. I'm just speaking from the memories I do have. And I have a lot of respect. Most of my family back home is all practicing Muslims. Those of us here in the States are not. So I have a point of view from inside and outside. And my points of view about the inside could be wrong. For I don't know how many Muslim listeners out there, if one of you wants to write in and maybe fact check our last pod and listen to the story I told and maybe tell me where I got some things wrong, I would love to be. I have never been too up my own ass and too prideful to not admit a mistake. So bye Mutaz.
So here's something I wanted to ask you guys. In the beach house that was Rex's family's, it was his grandparents and they passed away, and like the neighbor bought it and they rented to them for the summer, Mm-hmm. And then in this place, which is Rex's parents, I guess it's like a family thing for his family where it's like they all sleep in, instead of a queen size bed, it's like 2 twin beds next to each other, which I've seen families do before. Yeah. Like it's like a thing. It's kind of like an old school thing. I feel.
You mean like married couples? Push together
every
twin beds?
single bedroom in every single house, this place and their place.
You know why I think people did that?
From
because
moving
the
around.
doorways are little. So to get twin mattresses, you can't get a queen mattress in, but you can get 2 twins.
Right. And then I think people just get like stuck in the ways of like, then they sleep on a queen bed and they're like, wait, every time you move, like, because then I think it gets to a point where like their house, like the beach house is not such that you can't get a queen size bed in there. Like at this point, you can, like they could, I think they can get queen size bed. Like the doorways weren't much smaller than anywhere else. So
right.
I think like New York City for sure, that makes a lot of sense. And like getting them up the stairs, everything is so much easier. But like the beach house, I think his family is just one of those family that they're like, this makes sense to us. Like we dig this. I want to get your guys' thoughts on like what if the person you were with was like, hey, listen, like this is how my family always did it. Instead of sleeping in a queen or a king size bed and us like waking each other up and when we move and this, like I want to sleep in 2 twin beds.
Well, this would be a perfect opportunity for me to explain that I have a sponsor of the podcast, Helix Sleep, which is a memory foam mattress and wouldn't wake me up if she was moving around on her side of the bed. Are you saying if we didn't have a bed at all and we were starting from scratch and she said, I'd like to have 2 twins versus us getting a king or a queen?
Yeah, like if you went over to her place for the first time and she had 2 twins and was like, hey, if we ever live together, like this is how I want to do it.
I guess I would be open to it, but I think the fact I would like a king, and the king, you can't get that kind of real estate with 2 twins, right?
Right. Well, you can
2 twins are going to be smaller than a king overall. To me, I would have to really hammer home that I need that extra real estate. I would love to try your method. I really would. But how about this? How about I buy us a mattress? It's a king. You get way more room. It's memory foam. You won't feel my side of the bed. Plus, I got an 8 sleep system that's on top of this bad boy. You can cool or heat your side of the bed without it affecting the other person. How's that sound, Susie Q?
Well, I think that's what they call compromise.
Then I would disrobe her. Zip from the back, disrobe her. I would lay her down and I would deflower this woman.
Wow.
Sexy, right?
Good thing Mutez wasn't tuned in.
Mutez would have heard that. That's haram. That's what we call haram.
Haram?
Yeah. That's haram. So where are you, Jamie-Lynn? Or where?
I'm in New Mexico.
How's New Mexico going for you?
Good. The show premieres tomorrow night, which will have been last week when this airs. The 21st.
Where do they find it, Jamie?
ABC, Wednesday nights it's either 9 or 10. I forget.
Maybe
but you can also watch it on Hulu.
Hulu.
Watch our Jamie-Lynn on Hulu.
Check it on Hulu. Big Sky country. I speak Sky on Hulu.
Yeah.
So you're enjoying your work is going well, or you?
I'm enjoying work. It's going great. I have a really fun episode to shoot this coming week with a lot of fun stuff for my character, which is really cool. And then there's 2 really cool people that are going to be in the scene with me. I can't say who, but they're in the music industry. That's all I'll say.
Ice-T, Ice Cube, Vanilla Ice.
But it's so cool because the scene, it reminds me of like a Tarantino movie that I'm doing. And I'm the only girl in there and like all these dudes. It's dope.
Are these 2 people who are separate in the music industry or are they a team?
Yeah,
in the music
completely
industry?
separate.
Okay, is Ice in the name?
You will never guess them. You could probably guess 200 guesses and not guess either of them.
Adam Levine.
No.
Ooh, he's in trouble.
That's why I brought it up. I have a couple things I want to ask.
Cutter asked me if I knew about it today, and I said, no, I don't know anything.
I heard secondhand that Adam Levine cheated on his wife, had a kid with his wife, but named the kid after the girl he
you're
cheated.
Saying it wrong. You're saying it wrong.
Please. Yeah, this is how telephone happens.
This is what Cutter just told me. Adam Levine was talking to an Instagram model, DM'd her, and they were DMing for a long time, over a year.
Do we know who?
He has 2 children with Bahati Prinsloo. They recently announced that
God bless
pregnant.
you. What was that?
Isn't that her name?
What did you just say?
That's who they email. That's who our email next week is from.
She's a Victoria's Secret model. Shut up.
Apologies to Mahadi Plinslow.
Bahati. I think that's how you say her name. Prinsloo. Anyway, whatever.
Sure.
Wild.
So,
just
continue.
take that other.
They
take
have
the other
2
guy's
kids
last
already.
name.
They have 2 kids. This girl comes out on TikTok and puts a video on TikTok being like, oh, Adam Levine's pregnant with his 3rd child they just announced. And I had sent screenshots to my friends of texts him and I have been having for the past year and a half or whatever. And her friend tried to sell it to a tabloid and the tabloid called her to confirm. So in a panic, she just posted it on TikTok and being like, they're going to publish this. Here's the truth. Here's what happened. Showed his DMs to her, like hitting her up. And then said that they didn't talk for a couple of months. And then he hit her up and was like, hey, her name is Sumner. And he was like, hey, if I have
okay,
if I have a kid and it's like a boy, can I name it Sumner? I'm dead serious.
Her name.
Mm-hmm.
So I was right. But he was going to.
Yeah, but you said he had a kid
did.
with the girl.
I said he had I said he had a kid with his wife, but he had a kid with his wife, but he named the kid after his.
He wants to name the new one.
Oh, okay. I wasn't that far off, but yes, yeah. That sounds crazy. In what world is that okay?
But now I guess because of all of this out, he's having to like own up, and he's saying like he never cheated on her, but yes, like was definitely having like a inappropriate texting,
emotional cheating, followed by, oh, that's a cool name. Can I name my son that? Assuming my wife will never know.
Kasim, this would be like you naming your daughter with your current girlfriend, Olivia.
Robert. because of Olivia Munn?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I've been in contact with Olivia constantly.
Have you?
Inappropriate.
Absolutely not.
Inappropriate stuff.
No,
right after she just had her baby.
Please don't start
just
spreading.
Like this.
No, it's not.
She's
not true, guys.
You know what gets me angry about this stuff? Like really gets me angry though.
Please.
So he puts out this statement being like, I'm apologizing and I own up and I was terrible what I did and I love my family, some whatever. And he goes, I'm going to work on everything and we're going to get through this together. And I want to be like, I hate when guys like speak for the wife or the woman that they just cheated on to be like, we're going to get through this thing. Like, fuck you, motherfucker. Who knows if, dude? You fucking try to get it together.
Ooh, motherfuffer.
Motherfuffer. Like, leave her out of it.
Yeah.
Like, do not speak for her 1 minute. Gets me mad.
Jamie, here's my question. If let's say you were single and you're shooting this show in New Mexico and you meet a guy on set and that night you take him back to your place and you guys have sex and oh my God, it was a great night. He's a sweet guy and this. And then like, a week later, one of your friends is like, oh, he's married, right? Oh. And you're like, wait, what? Blah, blah. What do you do now? Do you go to TikTok?
No. I shut my mouth.
Oh, you just went, I think Mafood is back.
Come on back, Mafood.
We just got more listeners who left, came back.
Why?
Because you got street cred. Now you got that pussy street cred. Yeah, you keep it quiet.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Jamie's a celebrity and it's a little different,
Well, because look.
But
if I don't know the guy, I don't know his wife, I don't know his whatever, I'll just look at him and be like, ew, asshole. I didn't know, obviously, so I'm out of it. If anyone came up and asked on behalf of his wife, I would tell the truth. But other than that, I keep my mouth shut.
Okay, what about this? Let's say you're out in Texas and you're having dinner with, not Cutter, somebody else, a friend who doesn't know your friends. And you're just having dinner or whatever, and all of a sudden you look over and it's one of your girlfriend's husbands and that husband is with another woman, and they're like holding hands across the table. Maybe you see them kiss, whatever. You can clearly tell like they're together. Do you go to your friend? If you do, when and what do you say?
Immediately.
Right away. You take video evidence, photographic evidence. You go outside.
I'd probably get a picture and have it in case she asked if I did have one. But I would just call her and ask to meet her wherever she is.
You would go do it in person?
Oh, yeah. If I was in the same city, yeah.
More street cred.
Well, okay. Why would you do it in person? Tell me what exactly you would be doing.
If my friend was telling me that and I was alone and my husband was out with another woman, like I'd want my best friend or my friend there with me. Like I like to be alone and find out that news is so sad.
That's why you're the best. That's why you're the best.
Always thinking of others. It's incredible.
Absolutely cannot tell you have a disability.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know what? Incredible. It's not up here.
No.
Your problem.
Whoa, guys. You need to pump the brakes. You need to stop.
So good. Mutaz?
Paging Mutaz. Oh, we might have to edit that out just because of Jamie's. Just because I thought it was fine, but Jamie. Jamie's saying, "Pump the brakes."
You can't edit that out.
Well, maybe
they need your permission to leave it in.
Maybe we do something. We bleep it or something. I don't know, but wow.
Well, Gabby can be our third-party listener and see if she feels like it's offensive or not.
I didn't think somebody's gonna be offended by it 1,000%. But the important thing is, were you offended?
No.
Right, and that's who I'm talking to. You know.
Oh,
I love us. You know.
I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it. We're better and we're closer for it. I have something I read that I wanted to ask both of you, but mainly Jamie, since you're actively working. I read this.
Rude.
Okay.
No, on set.
What's this?
I read on this Game of Thrones article about how this new House of the Dragon series, they have what they call like an intimacy coordinator or coach.
Yes.
And this is a new thing I've heard about. Have you heard about what this job is? Do you have one?
I haven't had any like sexy. I don't know if I'm just like not putting off sexy vibes. Sorry to go off Cleaver, but I've like had to do any sexual scenes for many years. But my friend just worked on a pilot on a TV show, and he is working with this actress, super, super famous actress, super famous. Huge moment for my friend. I'm so happy for him. Their first day of work, they had a sex scene, and there was a full intimacy coordinator. Like the whole thing was choreographed. Like every move, hand, everything has to have complete consent.
Can you tell those have never heard of what an intimacy coordinator is, like what that person's job is? I kind of read some stuff, but I'd like to hear it from you.
It's like a sex choreographer. Basically, like if there's a scene, an intimate scene where actors have to make out and then touch each other, roll in bed, or simulate sex or whatever it is. In the olden days, they used to just roll the camera and you just fucking you just improvised. You just did what felt comfortable or good. And I can tell you, I'm always been super timid in them. Like granted, I don't think I've ever played a role that like needed to not be, but it's very uncomfortable. Like for me, at least, it's always been like super uncomfortable. I've never or at least I've never had to do one where I've been comfortable in my skin. Maybe I would have treated it differently now. But there was no like you could say I don't like that, but maybe it wasn't heard all the time. And obviously after Me Too and all this stuff, women are really coming forward with bad experiences. But now to rectify that, there is someone called an intimacy coordinator, and they're also kind of like a police. Like they're watching you when you do it, when you shoot it, when you rehearse it. And they'll check in with the actor or the actress and say, like, did you want that? Did you like that? Was that not okay? Like, so it's not, I've heard people say that it feels inhibiting to their art, but then I've heard more people say how much more comfortable they feel. So I think that that's more important. There's no movie or TV show that's more important than like a human being not feeling like safe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, what if both actors, male and female, go, "Hey, we don't need this. Like, I don't want."
Great question. I don't know. I mean, I think that'd have to be like a discussion with the doctor, like the director, and have like a very, like on the record conversation.
You know what's weird? So obviously, like when we did Sopranos, we were doing it for 10 years, and we were just very like, we had campers and like never hung out in the campers. Like it was always like we hung out on set. If it was like cut, it wasn't like run back to the camper. It was like, oh, you sit around, you laugh, you talk, you grab some food, you get to know people better, whether it's like the crew or the cast or whoever, like people. And I think because of that, it was a very different thing of like sex scenes on Sopranos, where it was like, oh, like I know this person, we're hanging out all day, we have a playful relationship, this. But after Sopranos, I worked on a few things, and there were things where it was like, you'd show up on set and you're like waiting for this actor to come, and then like they show up and it's like, okay, like they have a thing where it's like, as soon as I show up, we get to business, and it's like action, and it's not like sitting around and bullshitting and whatever. And then as soon as like they say cut, that person gets up, goes back to their trailer, this. I could see that being extremely uncomfortable. I mean, maybe more for a woman, maybe less, but like for a woman, if like there's this guy who like, like doesn't even say hello or anything, just like shows up, and maybe even shows up as this character, and then all of a sudden like they're in a bed together with clothes off, and like you said, like they had to do it on their first day or whatever. Like, that's got to be crazy. But and maybe I'm just looking at this from my end and not, but I feel like when I did sex scenes with other people in Sopranos, it was just like you're both kind of around all day, and you're like, all right, this is going to be weird, and like like you're not. I don't know.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I would imagine if you're a woman and you're, you have this big scene and you have a big director, and it's one of these things where it's like you have to do this scene a certain way, and you don't want to like make the director angry, and so you might not like speak up in the same way that you would if this was like like you personally with someone, and you were doing something uncomfortable. And it's so like, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that it's there. And I if I was like making a production, I would want a intimacy coordinator just like to cover my ass, but also if it means like getting better performances. I think as long as the intimacy coordinator and the director have like a sort of talk around what the director wants out of the scene, because sometimes directors like set up their actors in weird ways so they get certain performances, and if that means one person's uncomfortable, that's kind of what they want. Like Kubrick on The Shining, how they just fucked around with Shelley Long. Like there's certain things that directors do. So if you have somebody kind of stepping on that, I can see how a director might be like, well, that I'm not getting the scene that I want. And I don't know. I think it's great. It's so interesting to me. And so you have one for your show right now, you're saying?
Not that I mean, I don't have any.
Didn't you say you worked with? Oh, you have a friend who you said.
My friend just worked on the show right now. Yeah.
Well, good.
No, Jamie said that she's had like fights before where she had, and like an actor is like hit me in the face, like it's okay. Oh
yeah, remember I got in trouble?
Yeah, so it's like, because like on Sopranos it used to be like that all the time. Like people like hit me, throw me on the fucking ground, like do whatever, like whatever. We want it to look real.
And it was Lilo, who's like just got out of prison. Like, he's a tough motherfucker. And like, he's been saying to me all day, Jamie, hit me. Jamie, hit me. Jamie, hit me. And the woman and the director came and whispered in my ear before he's like, all right, I want one more. And we're like all riled up because it's like this super emotional fucking scene and we're in each other's faces. And he comes over in my ear and he whispers in like a forceful way. He's like, fucking slap him is take. And, I'm like, fine. And I reared up and I shocked him. He had no idea it was coming, but oh my God, after he gave like the craziest line read, like, cause he was like, he shocked him and then like he worked with it, which was like not all actors can do. It was fucking awesome to watch, but I slapped him.
And then you got in trouble.
And I got in trouble. I got written up.
By your stunt coordinator, right? By the
lady.
Who's
wearing socks with Tevas, by the way, but no big deal.
Even though we know the director, I don't know what that means. I actually don't know what that means.
She was also like 6'6".
Well, I don't know what Tevas are.
Sandals with like the Velcro and like the 3 different
ways. Okay. Then I do know what that means. There's the director wanted it, the actor wanted it, and the actress wanted it. So everybody's in on it, but then you get in trouble for it.
Well, because, it was a bit of a power thing. Like, she was so proud to be the stunt coordinator that day for this slap. That was like a minute of our 13-hour
everyone's got to justify their existence. And
you wouldn't think somebody who was 6'6" would be so power hungry.
I don't think she'd worked in a while. It felt like that.
Everyone wants to contribute, or feel like they're contributing.
You know what? And again, she could have had a conversation with me. That's fine. But she walked into the room that I was in and was scolding me like I was like a little child, like in my face, like this. And I was like, and I'm normally somebody that would probably like cry and like ask somebody to help me. But I think I was heated from the scene too.
Yeah, you just slapped
And I was
Lilo.
like, get out of my face. Like, that's what I said to
her. Yeah, street cred.
Her finger was on my nose. I was like, get out of my face. I was like, if you have a problem with this, the director's right there. He told me to do it.
Yeah, so much
She's
street
like, well,
cred.
listen. I was like, that's his set, not yours. He told me to do it. You talk to him, and if I'm in trouble, I'll deal with it. But he told me to do it. So mad.
Damn. Freaking
get street cred, son.
I got an email or two. Do you guys want to hear it?
Give it to me.
This one's called it's a subject question from Luciano. He says, listening to Rob and Cass talking about addiction, I was thinking, where do you draw the line between a young, famous, rich, and beautiful guy enjoying life and an addict? I'm saying this because when you talk about your past, you don't sound like people with addiction. You sound more like guys being stupid in that phase where stupidity is allowed, quote unquote, maybe 13 to 28. I thought this was a good question.
I think it's a good question.
Yeah, Rob?
Yeah, I think, it's different, right? There was different stuff in my life where like, alcohol was one thing, pills were another, but like pills, there's no question to me how bad it got. And, when I can't wake up and not take pills without being sick or without feeling a certain way. And then it goes to like the things that at times I did to get these pills, the places I went, the people I was spending time around, just because like, my first guy didn't have them, the second guy didn't have them, and the third guy was like, hey, I don't have them, but I know somebody who you could call, and then this, and you end up where, like, it's not
the desperation you feel for it.
The desperation, but then, and I think for a long time with alcohol, like I really was having a good time, but then I think somewhere around 25, 26 or whatever, there would just be like a lot of negative things that would happen when I would drink, and it just became a pattern, and it was like, man, I'm waking up, I'm feeling like shit. I usually would be like, there'd be pictures of me and I'd be like, man, that's embarrassing, or like, just things that I would say to people sometimes, or this, or just, not being proud of like things I did, but also like with cocaine, I know it was like I would do cocaine for 3 days, and then I'd wake up and be like, that's it. Like I don't want to do that anymore. And then I would go out partying or drinking again. And I like, before I would drink, I'd be like, there's no way I'm doing coke. I'm done doing coke. I hate coke. I'm not doing coke. And then, 12 shots tequila in, it was like, I'll go anywhere right now to get coke. Like, where do we have to go? What do we have to do? So it just, and then you stay up, you do coke for 3 days, you wake up and you go, oh, I never want to do that. And just, you get in
You
these,
would be up for 3 days?
a lot. Yeah. And you get in these like bad, these really bad cycles, and pills are growth, just, everything. And then physically, I'd say probably somewhere around 23, 24, you started to feel the toll it was doing on me physically. And it was just terrible. It was horrible. Waking up, throwing up, just like black, what looked like, tar or whatever, for like, not just horrible, disgusting shit. And then my anxiety was so bad that, of course, I wouldn't blame on the addiction. I'd be like, oh, I'm just an anxious, but I just have anxiety. Like, this is how I am. Like, I can't be up for 2 hours without taking Xanax, or I need these pills to get by. But that's just who I am. Like, it has nothing to do with what I'm doing. But then, now that I almost, it's been almost 10 years, and like, I never feel anxiety anymore. I used to get on a plane, for me, used to be like everything, where now I'm like, okay, like I don't enjoy it, but it's not like crippling anymore. And I just really, like, I haven't had an anxiety attack in years. Something that, like, I'm very proud of is I've become someone who, like, my friends can depend on, whether it's like to actually be there for them, or even just to be somebody to call and be like, hey, this is what's going on in my life, or this, like, what do you think? Where before, like, the only answer I'd have would be like, fuck that person. Let's go fucking get wasted and whatever. And this. So like, yeah, I think, again, like, I think it's easy when you look back on stuff to be like, oh, this is where it stopped being fun, where when you're in it, you can be like, yeah, well, you know what? Like, every 10 times I drink, I have one like really fun time, or like the first 4 hours is really fun, and then it gets bad or whatever. But now when I look back, it's like, man, all of my best memories are like, early in the beginning, 21, 22, like this, where I was like, oh, just a kid having fun. Where like when I look at, and one last thing is like, drinking and partying started to feel like a job, which is silly, but it became like, all right, I got to make sure I have my pills. I got to make sure I have this to it. Do I have and then it would be like, okay, blah, blah, blah's birthday is coming up in a week.
There's nothing spontaneous about it.
Yeah. And it's like, blah, blah, blah's birthday is coming up in a week. And you'd be like, okay, like, yeah, well, here we go. Like, all right, well, I'm not going to go to the bar and not drink. So here we go. Like, this is, it just started to feel like this like burden almost, where it was like, ugh, and just like so heavy and whatever. And yeah, that's, that was a long answer, but yeah.
No, it's a good answer. I think, you said a couple really important things, there are like, first of all, I think there's a line here where he says, I was thinking, where do you draw the line between a young, famous, rich, and beautiful guy enjoying life and an addict? I think you don't want to make the mistake of assuming that because you're young and you're famous and you're rich, that has to include substance abuse. There are plenty of people who are young, famous, rich, beautiful men, beautiful guys that don't abuse substances. Maybe they'll go to the bar every once in a while, but they're like not. What I'm guessing is Luciano may have like questions, and sometimes when you get questions like this, like, and I could be totally off base, but maybe Luciano like might have feelings around his own use around substance. And the only thing I think that would be safe to say would be to echo what Rob said, which is when Rob would swear that he wouldn't do something, like, I'm not going to do cocaine tonight, and then has that first few drinks, and then before you know it, he's doing whatever he can to have to find cocaine. That's kind of that goes for like all substances. Like if it's like, oh, I'm only going to have a couple beers tonight. I've maybe a couple times I've been like, all right, I'm just going to have a couple beers and I'll go home. But 8 out of 10 times, those couple beers turned into way more than that. And then it would lead to like, situations where I was, like Rob said, saying and doing things that I wouldn't remember the next day, and I was getting information about myself secondhand.
That's hard.
So look, everyone's different. If you say that you're not going to drink, but then, or more than two, and then you find yourself having 2, 4, 6, 8, like that's a sign. There's a sign of you, like there are physical signs, but there's also like this Groundhog's Day sort of life that you live, which is I'm not going to do this thing, but then you do it, and then you wake up and then like, all right, I'm not going to do it today. And then you end up at that night in the same position. It's like this very small life. And just because you have access to these things because you have money or you're famous, you go to parties a lot, doesn't like mean that you have to be doing these things. You will know eventually that you have a problem, and some people take longer than others. Some people are living in denial right now, but clearly need to figure something out. Some people do ride the line and aren't really addicts, but just party really hard. So it's like, it's hard to tell. Every person is different. I would like to think that you will eventually figure it out on your own. Hopefully it isn't by the time it's like too late. You know what I mean? But I thought it was a really good question.
I also think there's like it's almost like what are those like balance what are those scales called? Where
like a seesaw?
Pendulum? No.
Like a
scale
where you put like jelly beans on the one side of the scale, and it goes like deeper.
It's a scale.
Okay, yeah. So a scale. It's almost like where you feel like in the beginning, it might be like, oh, hey, I have these drinks, but I have so much fun. It's like, hey, maybe I stayed up late, or maybe I feel a little hungover, or maybe, oh, now my sleep schedule is thrown off and I'm not getting enough sleep, or this, or maybe like my clothes stink, or whatever you do. And then cut to 6 months, and then a year, and then 2 years, and then 3 years, and then you start going like, because in the beginning it's like, oh, I had so much fun, and maybe today I have a little bit of a headache, whatever. Then if you cut to 10 years in, the amount of fun it felt like it kept getting less and less and less, and the repercussions were more and more and more, and it kept being like, oh my God, this is so like I had like 3 hours of fun, but now I'm paying for it for 2 days.
That's a big like come to Jesus.
Yeah, and that's a very common thing you'll hear about people's stories when they share them as like recovering addicts, is it was fun for a while and then it stopped being fun. And there's like, people can usually pinpoint when that is. And I remember mine very specifically. There was like, the obsession around like, where am I going to get booze tonight? Like, where are we going tonight? Like, what am I going to get into tonight? Last night was so fun. Waking up the next morning, like talking with all your buddies about all the crazy shit you got into, like the so fun. And then somehow you do enough of it, that phase ends, and then it's just like a much sadder, lonelier phase, and it's more destruction, and it's more like waking up instead of chatting with your friends about like who hooked up with who. It's like, oh man, I think I have to apologize to like a bunch of people.
No, that's horrible.
There is a shift, and it happens even like on a micro level when you're just in a couple beers, like the first 2 to 4 beers, you are in the zone. You know what I mean? Everything's going right. You're funnier. People are listening to you. You're social. You're cruising around. You're making jokes. And then once those like 6, 7, 8 or whatever, you start taking a shot after, like that's when your night usually like starts to fall apart. And you can't ever stay in that pocket for forever. Eventually that pocket gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's the bummer of it.
I also think there's some, like when I have friends now who are like, oh man, I got wasted last night and whatever, like, well, like I don't bat an eye. Like people get wasted and they're fine. For me, the stuff that like I get uncomfortable around is when a certain thing becomes someone's like entire personality. Like they're just like, they just sit around and don't do anything, and they're just talking about, man, well, tonight when we're drinking and this is what we're gonna do, or like, oh, tonight's gonna be there, or tonight, right. And you're like, well, what about? It's like you can't even be present because all you're thinking about is when you'll be getting fucked up and how that will be and how it'll feel and how you like you romanticize it so much. You're like, oh, we're partying on Friday and it's Wednesday, and you're like, man, but Friday, and it's like, man, you're looking a little too.
It's a mental obsession and like a physical allergy. That's you usually know if you have those two things.
Yeah.
Before we go, you want to hear an email from Evening Head about the Don't Worry, Darling drama that we were talking about a couple pods ago?
Yeah, well, wait, what did you guys think of the poster that Gabby made?
Oh, I love it.
Gabby does it again.
Great job.
Killed it.
Great job.
Step on.
I love step up, step on. I love looking at a little fly there, buzz. Incredible. Barack Obama vibes for sure. Billy or Evening Head again. Olivia Wilde is treacherous. I agree with Chasm. Shia LaBeouf is one of my favorite actors of all time, right behind Robbie, of course. Lead bully in Daredevil 2004, never forget. If it's Shia versus anyone, it'll always be Team Shia. Also, I've loved Jason Sudeikis since Horrible Bosses in 2011, so fuck Olivia Wilde again. Another thing I wanted to share is I'm only 27, but I got my ass beat by my parents growing up. When I was like 13, I said some smart-ass comment to my mom, and she swung away, but I caught her hand similar to Chasm's anecdote. But my mom did not laugh. She calmly walked out of the room, and for some reason, that was so much scarier than if she would have just blown up on me. That said, I, like Jamie, have bopped my boys before, 3 and 4 years old, but only to get their attention. Unless they disrespect their mom or grandma, I turn into something I assume more like Rob and Cass's dads were. I love my boys more than anything in the world, and I tell them multiple times a day, but I can't let them think that that's even a smidgen acceptable. I guess I was feeling a little open when putting this email together. Love you guys very, very much, especially when you're losing your minds. Anyway, $4 a pound.
Listen.
Thanks, Evening Head.
Well, also, I just thought what he's like, oh, it wasn't like Rob's dad. Like, my dad wasn't that bad, they were few and far between. The only thing was the times they did happen, they were pretty intense.
They were severe. They were severe.
Yeah, it was pretty, but they were rare.
I first want to acknowledge him for his honesty, because I think it's really, really hard to admit certain things when it comes to like parenting, especially. It's funny. I'm working on set, and this woman came up to me today and was like, she has kids similar age to me. And she was like, I feel like the worst fucking mother in the world sometimes. And I was like, you're not alone. And we went through all of these things that we all struggle with and fell together. And it's just, we all struggle. Parenting is really fucking hard. And there's a reason why our parents are better grandparents, because it's just, you have the perspective. We're so in it. It's really, we're parents for the first time, their kids for the first time. Like it's just a lot.
Yeah.
It sounds though to me like you're having like some serious remorse for certain things, and there's always room for repair. Like for you and your kids and this like behavior and this habit, I think like you being really aware of it and not liking it is important. And I think you should listen to that and like see if you can find some ways and some tools to help you through that. Like for me, I was yelling all the time and I really didn't like it. And I've worked really, 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 really hard over the last couple of months to get a lot better at it. And I have, but it took a lot of work. So, but it's possible. So again, I want to thank you for your honesty and for writing in. Parenting's hard, man.
Well, there's this genius poker player who I listen to all the time, and one of the things he says is there's something, I might have talked about it before on this pod, something called decision fatigue, where he's like, if you are on a diet, it's very rare that you wake up at 7 a.m. and you move out, the bad move on your diet happens at 8. Or if kids wake up at 6 a.m., it's very rare that you're hitting your kids at 7:30 in the morning. You know what I mean? It's like
right.
Most of these things happen, 5 in the afternoon, 6 in the afternoon, 7, where like you've been making the right decision over and over and over, and eventually you just get fatigued on yourself, So I think a lot of it is figuring out and it's for everyone. It's different on like how to reset yourself, what to do, whether that's taking 20 minutes to do something you love, whether that's meditation, whether that's, you know, I don't know what it is of how other people do it, working out, this, like how you get your back to how you were in the morning. But I think, I think like, you know, if you set a bar for most people and you like made little dots on like a timeline of like when I make bad or wrong decisions, I think it really clusters up in those like evening hours,
You're so right.
because people are just kind of, you know, like it's like, yeah, all right, like I did, it's enough. Like,
yeah. No, it's well said. Good advice from both of you. I have none, but I do thank you, Evening Head, for sending that in. And if you want to send us an email, it's askpajamapants@gmail.com. Comment on anything we might have said that might make you angry, or unfollow us. Did we insult your religion? Did we cross the line in a way that we need to be sort of put in check about? Please email us, write in, let us know, because we are not infallible. We are human, and we will own up to our mistakes, including.
Or do you love when we go over the line? Right?
Some of you love it.
Write an email telling us how much you love when we go over the line, and we don't do it enough.
This episode had quite a fun moment in it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as Jamie did. Remember, we're on YouTube. Subscribe if you're watching it there. Smash that like button. Hit the subscribe. Click the bell. Go to r/Pajama Pants Podcast. Find us on Instagram and Twitter. We're also on TikTok. Jamie's on. Yeah, we're on TikTok. Jamie's on Instagram. She's on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Rob, off the grid. Do not try and contact him. But that's all I got. You guys have anything before we close it out?
Football, baby.
Good.
Football season.
Glad.
It's the meat and potatoes of life.